You're listening to Banter with the Boys, talking all things sports. From betting and brawls, Super Bowl to Stanley Cup Finals. Get laced up. It's time for Banter with the Boys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to this episode of Banter with the Boys, Rinkside, Chirps, Minnesota Hockey Edition. In this episode, we got quite a few different topics to talk about, but as always, we're going to go over kind of just what the Wild are doing, what the NHL is kind of doing, and also a couple other different Minnesota hockey sports teams. With that, kick it over to my main man, Smeltsy. Buddy, how are you today?
Yo, Kev, what's poppin'? Just got done ripping, NFL with Tyler. If you don't listen to that, you're into it, into the NFL, go check us out there as well. But yeah, I'm just ready to talk some puck. It's been a couple weeks, obviously. Some minor things have happened, but worth mentioning, and we're happy you're here with us. Obviously, please remember to subscribe to us. It makes a world of difference for us, and honestly, we hope we're providing, some quality content for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're trying to kind of expand our range a bit with different topics, but similar things that we obviously, care enough about to talk about and can have a good conversation about. So as always, like, comment, and subscribe. But with that, Smeltsy, looking at the Wild right now, we recorded our last episode. They have gone 5-4-1. And with that, they won the last night's game against the Washington Capitals, the game that I did go to, in fact. Awesome game. Wild won 5-3. Easily should have been 5-1, but they let their foot off the gas towards the end of the game, and they won it anyway.
Were those final two goals there for the Caps, were they more of a Gustafsson thing, or?
I think it was an all-around team thing. I mean, you're winning 5-1 with just a handful of minutes left, maybe 10 minutes left, I think, in the game.
That's when they scored both?
It was towards the latter half of the third period.
That's bogus. That sucks. Yeah, because I watched part of it, and then I literally turned it off, I think, when it was 5-1.
Yeah.
So I went to some or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. They held it out for quite a bit, and I'm pretty confident that I wouldn't say super duper confident with that, but they definitely had, a little bit of time left in the game, and the Wild just kind of took the pressure off, and they came back. But at the end of the day, Wild got the dub. Great game overall. Marcus Johansson, who was part of the Capitals in the past, got himself 2 on the night, which is pretty sweet. In that game, 11 total players from the Wild had points, including a goal from Brock Faber, and Gustafsson also had 31 saves in his third straight win. Minnesota has now gone 3 in a row out of 4, and also 4 of 5 after losing 8 of 9. Right. What a turnaround.
Yeah, and that's the funny part, right? Because coming into this week's episode, to be honest, like leading up to it, right before last week, even before a couple of those wins, I was planning on talking how bad we've been, right? And now they've kind of seemed like they're kind of turning it around again, maybe going on a little bit more of another streak here, a little bit.
I hate to say it, and the reason I hate to say that we're doing something good right now is the Wild are notoriously garbage after the All-Star break. Even if we've got momentum going into it, I know, knock on wood here, they're going to probably be garbage after the All-Star break in a matter of just a few weeks.
But we've been garbage all year. So maybe this is the year that it changes, but I agree with you. We'll have all this momentum going into All-Star break. Boom, All-Star break hits, and now it's we limp into the playoffs, and then at first round exit, we know.
Per usual.
But, it's just maybe this is the year that turns around. I don't think so, but maybe this is the year, you know what I mean?
Hey, I'd love it to be a turnaround year, especially with, I think, the reinvigorated team after having Dean let go. I don't think Dean was the problem. I think it was just the room and the team in general. You got to do something to change things up, and they've been pretty successful since he's been a part of the team or been the coach of the team. So I'm happy with it.
I mean, the Wild are still 6 points out of a wild card. That's not including last night's win. So that was before yesterday's game when I grabbed that.
There's also been games played since then. So
right. So, whatever. We could be a little closer, farther away. Either way, it's within reach. There's plenty of games left. It's within reach.
Yeah.
Do you honestly think, I feel like they were also 6 points out of the wild card our last episode, if I'm not mistaken. But
sounds about right.
Something like that.
Yep.
Do you think they have a shot? Do they make the playoffs an outside shot?
Yes. I think they'll make the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. It'll be like what it typically is, right?
Does history repeat itself for us?
Yeah, it's going to be a history repeats itself situation where we push really freaking hard at the end of the season, and it comes down to X team has to win this game. This team can't tie or can't lose in overtime, and then this team's got to win 3 games in a row, and we got to, do whatever. And then we make the playoffs. I feel like that's kind of typically what happens. We've never, like, at least I can't remember a season in the past recently where we've been like, yeah, we're golden in the playoffs right now. Like, we don't got to really fight for a whole lot. We're kind of coasting in. We've always got to grind and climb back into it. And it's always like that. And again, what happens then? First round exit. Bye. Every dang time. Except for the one year we didn't even make it into the playoffs a couple years ago. Just really, like, I want to see something different. But it's hard being a Minnesota sports fan and expecting a different result after the insanity we've all, ensued for however long all of our sports teams have sucked.
Well, that plus, like, this season in particular, the Wild have been plagued with injuries pretty much the whole season. Their captain is not on the ice. It's just, it just sucks, I mean,
it does.
Again, we've always mentioned it. We'll touch on it one more time, and I promise to try not to bring it up again until the off season. But, like, again, we're still handicapped by those Parisi and Suter deals,
Yep.
So just to have the expectation that we're a contender, I know that's what every Minnesotan in their soul wants to think, that we are a legitimate contender every single season, and I feel ya. I really do. It's just not realistic. And, the fact that we're even talking that we could still make the playoffs with the team we have right now, that says a lot. We're still competitive. We're in a competitive rebuild right now, in my opinion. And that's, again, why we signed Foligno and Hartman and Zuccarello to more deals. I know people were upset about that. We're overpaying them. Well, yeah, we are a little bit, right? We're paying them for their dues that they've done the past few years, and they're helping us stay competitive in these 2 years of the cap crap, to say the least. You know what I mean?
I agree. No, I think you're right, man. It's tough, right? We'll get into a bit more of the contract details, or we should get into it right now. What do you want to do? Should we get into it?
Just go for it.
All right. So with that, I think we signed those deals to get us through the crummy cap stuff.
Correct.
And then when we hit cap freedom, if you will, which is 25 to 26, right? 2025, 2026 season. Once we hit that, we've got these guys locked in for potentially one more year. Yep. And then you've got $15 million to spend on somebody that these guys can effectively lead these lines for to help us go further.
Which is a lot of money in the NHL.
That is a ton.
It doesn't seem like a lot in pretty much any other major sport in the U.S., maybe other than MLS. I don't know.
Right.
I can't remember how their contracts work, to be honest. But like, that's a lot of money to play with in the NHL. Now, if you also look, that's still, you said 24, 25 season. Yep.
Still there. 2025, 2026 is when we're out of cap.
You look at guys like Jared Spurgeon. Is he still on the team at that point? He's making $7.5 million.
Yep.
That might be more money available. You still have some of these younger guys that could come up. We saw Sammy Walker come up. He didn't do nothing when he was up here, unfortunately. So hopefully he still, grows down there in Iowa.
Yep.
But you got guys like that can still come up. Lambos. We got other defensemen. You got Jesper coming up. Now you just add a couple bona fide vets to that.
Yep.
Or like early on in the season, there was talk of, on the show here, of Leon Draisaitl. I think that's a great idea. Somebody like that who's probably going to be a vet, not commanding a ton of money, but probably still worth that $7 million range.
I can see that.
And that's worth it.
Especially when you've got the money to spend. I think that's our year to make the biggest push in the Minnesota Wild's history ever for a long playoff run.
And that's where I think ownership's at with like BG, with people that might be frustrated with BG or whatever.
Yep.
I think it's unfair to let go of BG any time before he gets to play with that money.
Yep.
100%. Do not let go of BG. I swear to gosh, dude. Like, let him play with that money at least for a year or two.
Yes.
And then if it's not looking right or he built the wrong team, okay.
Yep.
Now you get it, right? But he can't. Yeah. He's doing everything he can with what he's given right now. You know what I mean? Don't even think about it.
Yeah, he's been dealing with was it Paul Fenton and Chuck Fletcher era days of like just trading everything away and having nothing in our farm system. and then crummy contract upon just handcuffing contracts.
Let BG cook, bro.
I agree.
Let him sit there and marinate and cook.
We're in 2023, 2024 season right now. So after next year goes by, that's our time to shine, right? So we got like, what, a third, 5, 8, 4. We got a good bit of season left here still. Third of the season left to make a push, potentially get into the playoffs, and then go from there. With that, with the cap space, we're going to have some room to grow once they get there for an actual push.
For sure. And like that, and like the push from now until we get that space, any push is literally just all pride, and to appease the state of hockey. You were at the game last night, right?
Yeah.
So going into that game, people that bought tickets for that game knew dang well we're 6 points out of a wild card. We're not playing that amazing on the season as a whole.
Yep.
But that place still looked packed. The upper level still looked packed.
Full up.
Hockey is a way of life here, and I think still filling the stands when you're not performing super well as a team as a whole, that says something.
You got buy-in from the community.
That says something.
That's what it is to me. And I think people say we're the state of hockey for a reason, right? Everybody from kids that are being just born, that got skates on their feet, to old vets and older people playing boot hockey still. It doesn't matter. People play hockey no matter what it is. It's part of the culture. It's a part of their life forever, for their entire life, right? And that's just how it is. So, like you said, granted, the weather was pretty nice. It was like 40 degrees outside almost when the game was going on. But, like, people will trek through the elements to get to these games. They'll trek through the losses. They'll trek through the losing streaks, the coach debacles, etc., to go to those games and to be there for the team.
Like, I don't think they're selling out, on some of these games. They used to. They sold out when they first became a team. They sold out for, 10, 15 years straight or whatever.
Something crazy, which was surprised by that, though, right? I mean,
yeah. But even if it's not a sellout, dude, that stadium's still packed, though. It's pretty darn close.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So I to your point, the fans are always going to back the team, as upset and grumpy as the fans may be, myself included, at a lot of silly things that have happened across my tenure as a fan of the Wild. It's crazy to see what we've done so far and what's coming in the future. I'm excited about it.
And the thing is you being a fan for the last 10 years, you haven't even seen the best of the Wild, to be honest. The first, within those first, 5-6 years were awesome.
Yeah.
And you should go back. I have a DVD for you. You got to watch it, actually.
Uh-oh.
It's I don't know, about the 2004 or 5 Wild. I can't remember. And it follows a couple players around. You would get a kick out of it. You won't know any of the players, but you'll get a kick out of it. You might recognize Marion Gaborik or Darby Hendrickson or something, because Darby's coach, right?
Yep.
Oh, dude, I got to get that too. You would actually like that.
Let's rip it for sure.
But yeah, anyway.
I've only been a fan for 7 or 8 years. It has not been my entire life. So I was born in Wisconsin. I came here in 2011. Didn't really get into the hockey life up until 2013, 14-ish. So I've only been a fan for a handful of years, a little bit more than that, a little less.
I'll get you up to speed on Wild history because there's not that long, right?
Yeah,
so you
haven't seen much.
Easy. Yeah, no, you good.
For sure. Well, let's jump on into our next one. You mentioned it earlier. The Minnesota Wild, is still plagued with injuries. Currently, right now, got a couple of big names on the injured report list and just injured in general. Obviously, you mentioned it before. Our captain's not on the ice right now. Tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing, what's going on.
I mean, I think it's just the same injury he's been dealing with. I think he re-aggravated it, and now they've shut him down for the season. And not only is he, I believe, having surgery on that, but he's also going to have a second surgery on his back.
It's his back and his hip, or there's two surgeries.
I think hip
he's doing
is the main surgery,
something
right?
like that. Yeah.
And then a second surgery on his back.
Yeah.
Dude, that's not good.
Yeah. Well, you kind of hope back to the Parisi era days where he was just getting cross-checked constantly in the lower back and was never playing like himself for a year or two. Finally took some time off, got his back fixed up, and he came back and he was pretty darn good.
Yeah, you're right.
He's still Zach Parisi, let's be real. But at the end of the day, that surgery helped him get out of an ailment that he'd been dealing with for years. This might be something that really resets Jared Spurgeon and puts him on another track to success. He's still a fantastic defenseman, regardless. But imagine if he's been playing hurt for a hot minute. You fix the guy up. Come on now.
So, but that's just it. Do you know how old Jared Spurgeon is?
Ooh.
Take a guess out of the top of your noggin.
I was going to say 36.
He's 34.
Ooh, all right.
He's 34.
All right, that's close.
So, so just looking at those surgeries he does need, you know, he signed here until he is 37 years old.
He's got what, 3 to go? 3 more years?
Well,
he's 34.
Once he comes back next season, 35, 36, 37, yeah, 3 years.
Okay.
Including next season. He's got 3 years left, and he's making 7.5.
All right.
You know, he's a 7.5 cap hit anyway.
Sure.
Is he worth it at this stage in his career? And I hate to say that because I've been a huge Jared Spurgeon guy. I believe he's been here his whole career even. He's been great for the organization.
Yep.
But is he... I just don't know if he's going to be here for the remainder of his contract. And I can't remember if he has a no trade on that.
Are you saying that you don't expect him to be here even though he's the captain of the Wild? Do you still think that they're going to take and rip the C off of his chest, metaphorically to say, and send him packing elsewhere? Like, do you really think in reality that that's going to happen? I'll give you my opinion on that if you care to know. I think they do that. I think if he comes back from this injury and towards the last year, maybe 2 years of his deal, he's got 3 to go, right? He comes back, he's got a couple more years to go. I think they may not keep him around. But I think he'd be fantastic on the trade market, especially when we got money to spend.
But if and then that's just it. If he comes back and they decide to take the C from him, I don't think they take the C from him until he's traded.
Of course.
You know, because if you take the C off a guy, that's going to be weird, bro. You can't go back in that locker room.
No,
you know?
It.
So, my God, that just hurts to say because I'm a big Jared Spurgeon guy. I wanted his jersey actually for a while.
Ooh,
I still don't have one. I'll probably still get one, whatever, with the C, of course.
There you go. Yeah.
But like, it's just, I don't know.
I don't think that with the direction that Guerin's going, with the money he's going to have, with the big, bruisey, beefy team.
Right. I don't think he's going to fit.
What was their thing last year? Grit first or some nonsense that we still lost anyway in the first year?
Right.
Or like some goofy slogan that they had. Grit first. Your captain's 4 foot tall. Come on. Like, you can't I understand like sizes and everything when it comes to like ice hockey players, but like at the end of the day, you're going to get bodied. And it happens all the time. But also Jared Spurgeon's also a gangster and fights back.
He does.
So like,
he does.
There's a give and take with that. But again, if he comes back from the surgery and these injuries and is not himself, or if he just kind of is never the same, as you do see with other players who do get injured, is he coming back? And if he does, or let me rephrase, when he comes back, is he going to stick it out for the last 3 years? And now they're going to give him an extension? Because
no way, dude. He's not getting an extension. At least from the Wild. If it's from the Wild, it's going to be dummy cheap.
He'll have money to spend at that point, though.
Dude, he's 37. He's 37 years old. Just came off a 7.5 year cap hit for the last 7 years.
Long.
I don't think you're paying him that kind of money. Is he still going to garner like a $4 million deal?
Possibly, yeah.
Man, 3 to 4.
3 to 4 makes sense to me. I get that. You know,
for like a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you see some guys play into their 40s in the NHL, which is crazy considering the wear and tear on their bodies.
Yep.
Not only that, they're balancing on steel.
It's crazy, the athleticism and like the physics behind it.
But I don't know, dude. I've been dreading this Jared Spurgeon talk because he is getting up there in age.
Really?
And I don't want,
not really.
And I don't want to say that because I'm not far off from that age, so that's kind of bogus. But for a professional athlete, you know, that's getting up there once you hit your mid-30s.
Yeah. Well, so now we've been talking a bit about like if he goes, what are we gonna do? Well, he's gone right now. The Wild needs someone to fill that space. Who do we go and get? There's a right answer to this question, Smeltsy, and you better not get it wrong. We're gonna fight. There's a right answer to this question. There's a right answer to this question, Tyler Smeltson. You better know it.
Oh, that's funny as heck.
You better know
I do know where you're going. Don't even say it yet because I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, you do.
I'm cool bringing him back on like a $3 million deal. Actually, he's already on the deal.
$3.9 million right now for a solo year.
That's fine. We're talking about Matt Dumba. You would know it if you follow the pod because that's Kev's guy.
Yep.
And I mean, why not? Right.
Right now,
it only takes up half that money. You can still sign another guy.
That's my thought.
You know, you don't go blow it all on one player.
Yeah.
And you might as well pick up. I don't know if you pick up 2D guys or not. But I think it's not a bad idea. It's really not.
Nope. He's hurt right now. That's the only issue. I don't know what the details of his injury are, how long the details of it are, or what the terms of it are.
He's got the chemistry with the team, right?
That's it. He's the locker room guy. He's the freaking DJ guy.
He is a locker room guy. They do like him in there.
He used to be an assistant freaking captain. last year. He was the man, right? Everyone had high praises. You read his articles that Russo wrote about him, and everyone had nothing but great things to say. Teammates talk about pranks he pulled, being the guy you'd have everybody over for holidays and stuff like that. I think he's who you go and get. He's an unrestricted, I think he's unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. Might be restricted.
He is. No, I think unrestricted.
Right. Right shot defenseman. He knows everything. He knows the system. Now, granted, there's a new head coach in town, but everybody else had to learn it. Matty had to go and learn it over in Arizona. I think you bring him back here, and you still got, potentially a couple of $1 million to go around and play with something, maybe just for another beefy guy that you're trying to get out there to be, beef up your team a little bit, or do you go out there and possibly get just a young guy to maybe spruce things up down in Iowa, help the boys out down there, right? Two-way player guy, you send him down there. Maybe he's a good call-up player. Who knows, right? Like, it's definitely an option in my opinion. The question is what do we have to give up to get him? Because you can't just send him money.
I don't think it's going to be much because the Coyotes haven't really used him in a massive role by any means. It's not like he's lighting the lamp either. He's got 5 points in 44 games.
Yep.
Again, he's a defenseman. His plus minus is -10. Don't like seeing that.
No, me either.
But his average time on the ice is 20 minutes. He's still being used.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but he's not obviously their top guy.
Nope.
I would imagine they would move him considering he's on a 1-year deal. Why would you not?
Mm-hmm.
If you can get something for a guy that's going to leave probably anyway. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Coyotes kind of were already when he signed there. We already knew he's playing for a bigger contract somewhere else, most likely.
Yep.
Just a 1-year deal, prove it deal, right?
Yep, that's what he got. He was making, I think he was making up to $6 million here for a little bit, part of his contract. I could be wrong, but I think he was making $4 to $6 million a year here on his last deal that he just signed with us. So he was making big money.
I think he was making 4 here for us.
Something like that, right?
Yep.
I could be wrong, but I know it was always different. But either way, at the end of the day, we can afford him. Depending on how cheap he goes, effectively, it might be worth bringing him back, filling that spot. Because then the downside of that then is do you break up the Brodin and Faber line, put him back with Dumba, or do you leave the goal that you have right now with Faber just playing so much?
Nope, you find somewhere else to plug Dumba in. You do not mess with the only good thing that's happening for the Wild defensively right now.
Yep.
You do not mess with that.
You
do add him in though.
Yep.
I do like adding him in there somewhere, but that's not my decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the money, he would be a decent option.
I agree. Do you have any other players who you think may be worth coming in a trade over here for him? Anybody you can think of?
Not off the top of my head right now.
Sure. I think I want to say that there's a couple of players that I was just talking to a buddy of mine about today, actually, who might be worth looking into here as well. But at the end of the day, there's definitely some room for us to grow. And I'm hoping that now that you want to see somebody out, but we got to use and take advantage of the situation that we're dealt right now with Spurgeon being out.
I mean, allegedly you got Chris Tanev in Calgary. That's on the block. He's looking at $4.5 million.
Could afford that.
UFA after this year.
Yep.
You got, looks like Sean Walker from the Flyers is also a UFA after this year for $2.6 million. He's got 5 goals on the year, 16 points. Okay.
Who's that now?
His name's Sean Walker for the Flyers.
Interesting.
That's kind of, that is interesting. Well, wait a minute. The trade deadline's already passed.
The trade deadline?
Isn't it? Or is it not?
No.
When is it?
Let's find out.
No, I'm an idiot. What am I talking about? There's no way. Why would it be before the All-Star game?
Nope. March 8th.
March 8th. Okay.
Month and a half.
Wow. Sorry, folks. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So there's room to go for it. At the end of the day, I think
Hannafin too.
Yeah.
Calgary. He's a 20 dude. 4.95 mil, but he's a 25-point getter right now. 26-year-old UFA after 24. But Chichurin out of Ottawa, he's UFA after 25. 4.6 mil. That might be intriguing.
Potentially, right?
Because you got him for another year.
Year after that, if you can
somebody
hang around.
You could absolutely add to your probably your top 4 defense even.
Good. We know we're struggling right now in the defensive area, right? You got John Merrill playing.
That's our biggest issue.
Yep. Merrill's playing kind of crummy. Middleton's doing decent for right now. He's gotten some points in the last few games. He's playing well.
I would feel comfortable if we had enough pieces where Middleton's playing on our third D pairing.
Yeah.
That would mean that
You're solid
we're
front.
pretty comfortable on the top four.
Yep.
That's where I'd like us to get to defensively. I don't know if we're going to do that this year, but I'm telling you, folks, just wait it out these few years. The Wild are going to win a cup. Let's see. What is it? 2024?
25, 26.
The Wild are going to win a cup by 28.
28, you say?
By 28. Maybe 2030. Maybe 2030.
Someone's getting excited.
They're
over there as
winning
far
the
as their
cup
predictions.
before the decade's out. The Minnesota Wild are bringing a cup to the state of hockey before the decade's out.
I like it. I'm holding you to it.
Hold me to it. Hold me to it.
With that, let's move on here. I've always got to talk about him. The guy's a stud. Brock Faber, man. Come on. Brock Faber, just an absolute beast right now. Russo tweeted out earlier today, fresh off college ice, he shouldn't be this good. But to know the fact that he's played 200 more minutes this year than the next Wild player. End quote. What a wild statistic.
200 more minutes?
What he said.
Holy
Can you imagine?
crap.
Right now he's got 24 and like a half minutes average per game. Still over a minute over the next player on the list for the Wild.
Wow.
He's your college defenseman. Obviously, like, granted, had Spurgeon been in all season, not having these issues, I think his ice time might have been a little bit less because they never really paired him up with Spurgeon. But I think just in general, the kid is showing off his stuff right now, right? Everybody in the locker room talks about him, how he's just crazy good, and he just shouldn't be as good as he is right now. But again, if you bring anybody else up here, what happens to those lines? Because even if you lose a couple of games, they shift things around. So maybe you might find some spark there with other defensive pairings if we, go on a downward spike like we talked about before after the All-Star break, right? Switch things up a little bit, maybe find some magic somewhere else. But
yeah, I mean, obviously there's something to be said about Brock Faber. I mean, he's looking like he's about fourth in Calder voting, which allegedly Bedard is still running away unanimously.
Just crazy.
While he's injured with.
Yeah.
But and then you got Luke Hughes. I believe he's out of the New Jersey Devils. He's second with 47 points. Bedard has 75 points. This is the voting I'm talking about so far, right? This came out January 14th. This is from NHL.com. Columbus Blue Jackets, Adam Fantilli. I hope I said that right. 36 points. He's third. And then you have Faber at 24 points. And Marco Rossi at 20 points, rounding out fifth. We have two players in the top 5 for voting.
Really?
For the Calder.
That's impressive.
If that doesn't make you feel good about a couple years from now, like we're talking about, add Jesper to that.
Yeah. You let him prove it a little bit more, because right now Brock Faber can be re-signed to an extension or something other than his rookie year deal.
Right now he can?
July 1st.
Dude, lock him up.
100%. Somebody even asked Russo when he tweeted about that, like, how soon can we bring him? And what do you think he's going to get? No, there was.
Did he say what he's going to get?
No,
he didn't say. Thinks?
No, he didn't say. He didn't reply to that tweet, but the comments went wild.
What do you think he garners?
Depending on how long the deal is, I hope that they keep him around for the max, which I think is 8 years, and with a potential moving clause midway through or towards the end, potentially an average of 5 to 6, roughly. He's shown it, in my opinion, last year in the playoffs, being fresh off of losing the championship game for the Gophers, now up here to us. He's proven himself all the way across the board, 5 to 6.
I think we got to give him more.
Really?
I think we got to give
6,
him
7?
Dude, yeah. I think between 6 and 7, with 7 at the top. I know, dude, spendy, right?
A lot of
for
money.
A guy that's only played a year.
Yeah.
He's got to keep proving stuff. Has he proven stuff? Absolutely, right? Yeah. Absolutely. We're in agreement there.
Yep.
But he's got to add to it, right?
It's true.
And he is. But that's just taking a bet. You see it in the MLB all the time. You got a couple guys that play really well one season. They're crazy young. Boom. 12-year deal. Yep. Whoa. How do you know that dude's going to be the same player in 10 years?
You don't.
That's crazy. But that's part of the risk. And you're seeing it in all major sports right now in the U.S. specifically, but I'm sure around the world too. You're locking these, when you see talent, you're locking them up for a long time. Yeah. Now, I will say that Brock Faber, we should. I think we should too.
Yeah. I think at some point.
You did it with Brodin.
Yeah. I think at some point in time, Kaprizov gets the A. Or this would be the C. I think that's just how that goes. I don't think they're going to let him go anywhere. He is the franchise player. I think he gets the C. Don't know when. I think Kaprizov ends up with the C in his chest at some point in time in his career with the Wild.
But
I think it's what's going to happen. And I think if Faber sticks around, I think he gets an A for sure. Depending on who else is around. Again, we got some moves to make. We got some time to kill before we get some of that money back. You never know who's going to come and go. You never know.
I hate myself for this.
Uh-oh.
I hate myself for this.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
But
Dun, 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 dun.
Kirill Kaprizov is gone before he gets a C in Minnesota.
Really? You don't think he's going to stick it out, or you think we're going to use him as trade bait for something potentially?
What the hell are you going to get for him?
That's the thing. You got to get something incredible for him.
He's going to be one of the top players in the NHL. Now you've noticed this year he's taken a step back. It's a little slower.
He has.
Right. Now last year he was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just some of the stuff he was doing was ridiculous. What happened?
Less injuries.
You know,
he has the people that have been with him have been changed quite a bit. Different coaching staff. Again, you lost the room in the beginning,
and
so
you need
no
continuity.
one's really playing.
You need continuity. I don't care what sport it is.
Yep.
I don't care what team it is. You need continuity to play well. You do.
Yep.
So, oh man, dude, I don't know. I know that was a doozy right there. I know that's a doozy right there. But like, I don't know. I want him here.
Yeah.
But if there's something on the table, I don't know what would have to be on the table right now. I'm not saying I have a deal in mind. I don't.
It need to be wild for
but
sure. But
he's here for what, the next 6 years?
Something
He signed a 5-year deal, and then he had one left. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. I know that's crazy, but
it is.
It's just we got to do more to keep him here. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I hope like BG has explained that to him, where the status of the team, right? Where we're at. We're in a competitive rebuild. Most likely, again, he hasn't said that. That's my take on it from what we've noticed, right?
Yep.
Like, I just hope he realizes that. And Kirill's 26. You know, it's just, I don't know. I don't know why I said that. I hate, like I said, I hate myself.
Well, that's the crazy thing. So I'm looking at his contract right now. I just pulled it up. He garners $9 million for, you're correct, 5-year deal. $9 million this year, $9 million next year, and then $9 million 2025, 2026. Now, as of note, next season and the following season have no move clauses. They didn't specify if it's a full no move or what the details of those are.
What season? Next season?
Next season and 2025, 26. Yep. Don't forget 25, 26 when we get that money. So
maybe he gets paid then.
And then
let you lock him up long term.
Yep.
And you go get his partner, whoever that may be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Zuccarello at that point. Zuccarello's going to be 55 years old. You know.
Yep. It'll be interesting.
He'll be 28, dude. That's your prime for NHL players, right? Like that 28 to 32. If you're something special, that'll be, oh man, what is he going to cost?
That's the thing. He's making $9 million a year. He has not been playing this year like he deserves $9 million a year.
That's just it.
But I agree to your point about continuity. You got to fight no matter what. Next man up mentality. I don't care. I get it. But how many times can you kind of get beaten down by like, oh, this star player is out for 6 weeks. Oh, this star player is hurt because of this. Oh, Kaprizov probably has broken ribs. Like, he may still not be better from that. Like, you never know, right? There's still things that could be lingering. So
I don't know what site did you use to pull up his contract?
This is cap friendly. So
okay, so this is Spotrac. I use them for NHL stuff too. Spotrac.com.
Okay.
I don't know. I just like their stuff. They explain it good. But anyway, they're saying that in 25-26, obviously his cap hit $9 million still.
Yep.
The cap hit percentage, and I'd imagine this is for the team.
Yep.
Is 16.5%.
That's if it doesn't go up. I'm sure it's going to go up a little bit. It goes up like $1 million
every
year or whatever.
Because that's probably including people that are dropping off, right? That will probably re-sign or whatever, right? Yep. But like even right now, this is probably more realistic. Right now, 10.4% of our, basically 10.5% of our salary.
Right.
He's not playing up to that level right now.
No, he's definitely not. No. I still think he's still got
neither
lingering
is Boldy,
injuries.
But that's another conversation.
He was though for a little bit, but he's not anymore. Same thing with Rossi, right? Granted, Rossi's not making that crazy money yet, but he will be.
But like we've mentioned, maybe that's just part of the continuity. These specific players, including Rossi and Boldy and Kaprizov, they need to grow together. Now throw Faber in there. Yeah. Brodin is now your vet, which is crazy to say because Brodin used to be the young, as you like to say, the young buck.
A young buck.
that was going to be, our stud, and now that's exactly who he is. He's still underrated. Nobody appreciates what he does, truly, because it's not a stat thing. So, but anyway, let that core grow, man.
Yeah. And
then you hit that money in 2 years, and then hopefully you add a good locker room guy, but also somebody who's at the top of the league.
Yeah.
I want somebody at the top of the league to come in here and play with Kirill.
Need a stud center. That's it.
You do.
Need a stud center. That's what you need.
You need a number one center.
Yep. I said it one of the
Eck
episodes
is
before.
a perfect number two center.
Yep.
He's not your number one.
No. I said it before in the season, I'm pretty sure.
You did.
That we need a stud center. And after we lost Koivu, we've never been the same when it comes to winning faceoffs. And granted, towards the last year, maybe 2 years with us, he wasn't winning faceoffs.
He wasn't when he was,
Yep.
But when he was at the top, he was one of the best centers in the league for what his job was.
Yep. I remember them saying, too, that they changed one of the rules in, like, the face-off, like, process. I don't know what it was, but he couldn't, quote-unquote, cheat anymore. So he wasn't – I don't remember what the rule change was, but I remember hearing it on the radio and from what people were saying on, like, the broadcast that they're like, yeah, one of the rules had changed somehow. We're like, I don't know if it's, like, who puts their stick down first or, like, the process and, like, the whole flow of the face-off or whatever. Also, they get, like, the double kick out and you get a penalty now. That's newer in the process. So things changed. So he wasn't as dangerous, if you will. But in the past, he was just a killer on the faceoffs. So
I bet his brother did the same thing too.
Probably,
Saku.
Right? Yeah, you just need somebody to win a freaking draw. If you can get somebody with that money, you throw him up there with Kaprizov because again, like you said, it's probably not going to be Zuccarello. You never know who will be. There might be something there that's magical. I don't know what it is.
We hope. We can only hope. But you heard it before 2030, and honestly, my gut's telling me before 2028. But there's a cup in Minnesota.
That's the hope, right? We'll see what happens. All right, we're going to move into our next section here. This episode, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the news around the NHL. Got 2 points here that we want to talk about. First one's first being the owners of the Utah Jazz have officially formally requested an NHL expansion team to bring a hockey team to Salt Lake City. Currently, right now, the Utah Grizzlies play in Utah at the moment. They are an ECHL team that feeds up through Colorado's Avalanche team. So kind of an interesting dynamic there. I'm not quite sure if a team is warranted out in Utah, but that might be kind of cool. I'm always down for more, not necessarily more expansion teams, but more viewership of the hockey sport. Because again, it is everything here to us, right? It's culture. It's in your life since you're a kid. Hockey to the Minnesotans is crazy. So seeing it broadcast elsewhere and bringing up a new fan base to it, that's awesome. Also gives us more players to look out for and better chances for some cool players to be drafted. And also, who the heck do you protect in the expansion draft, right? A lot of havoc and chaos that it brings. But what do you think, Spells? Do you think it'd be kind of cool to see an age or see these guys out there, an NHL team out there?
I mean, I guess my only concern would be if they would draw enough fans, and I mean, maybe for a professional hockey team, they would. But like if you look at the Utah Grizzlies, their average attendance for last year was 5167.
Okay.
So now I don't know how many people they can fit in their arena, wherever the heck they play.
Yep.
But it just can they fill out a stadium for an NHL hockey game? I'd be curious. I think they held some event. I don't know what it was. Gosh, I wish I could find it because this thing that I'm doing is not letting me go in there. But they held some event and it was a hockey game and they brought like 9,000 people.
Sure.
To that. So that's at least more.
3/4 of the stadium. So they play at Maverick Center apparently in Salt Lake City or nearby. It's a 12,600 cap.
Okay.
So if they filling about half of it.
If they sold that out, then
consistently sold that out.
Then maybe you could. But it's not like, look at the Coyotes right now. It's not like they have room for a ton of fans either. Yeah. So maybe you could build a little or play there. Play at the 12,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
And see what happens. But how many can you look up quick?
Yeah.
How many seats the Kraken arena seats?
Yeah.
Because obviously
Climate Pledge Arena, right?
Yeah, Yep, that sounds right. And I mean, obviously that's a newer team, right? I think Vegas seats quite a few.
Yeah.
But
18,300 for Climate Pledge.
And that's a normal NHL sized arena.
That's what we are here.
So I don't know. I don't know if they would sell enough, to be honest with you. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
You know, I like seeing more teams personally, but now you got to add probably another one, right? Because that'd be now an odd number. So Utah and
who knows?
You know, like
no clue, right? Like,
bring back the Hartford Whalers. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't mean
Atlanta Thrashers. Atlanta makes a return to the NHL. You know.
Hey, there you go.
I don't know.
It balance out. It
is two different. Yeah.
So
I don't know. So
time will tell.
It's interesting. I didn't hear that yet.
Yeah.
So that was definitely some news to me.
Yeah, some official news this morning. And the second little bit of news here is this is not 100% verified, so please take that with a grain of salt here. If it is untrue, I apologize, but some of the information that I saw this morning and earlier today was that Zach Parise might possibly sign with Colorado Avalanche after the All-Star break. Do I really care about that? No, not really, but I'm surprised to possibly see him moving around from where he's at. But also, is he going to Colorado? Do they have a chance right now? What is their status, and do you see Parise making any benefit? Any help one to them? Anywhere, but in general in Colorado right now.
It's not like he was complete garbage last year, right?
Yep.
But he's aging just like anybody else. It's a normal thing.
Yep.
His better years are behind him. He's 39 years old.
Yep.
Do I see them like answering your actual question here? Do I see him actually helping Colorado? I don't know where he'd slot in. I don't know if Colorado's suffering from a bunch of injuries right now.
Sure.
You know, one thing I will say is the last 2 seasons, Zach Parise has played 82 games.
Unhurt, which is kind of surprising.
For the Islanders.
Wow.
So then he had 35 points and 34 points the following year. And last year it was the 34 points with a +7. Average.
So about a point every other game, roughly, a little less, right? Because it's 82 games, and you got what? 30-something points, roughly both.
Probably third, fourth liner.
Sure.
Average ice time was about 16 minutes last year.
Okay.
So yeah, obviously your
time.
bottom 6, right?
Yep. It's kind of crazy to think
but he's
about
a vet, dude. He could bring. They must be suffering from an injury. If you heard that, then is my guess.
Could be right. I mean, granted, again, it was just wild. Twitter, X, hockey garbage banter. Who knows, right? But it's kind of an interesting thought to think about anyway.
It'd be good to see him keep playing.
Yeah, and you'd see a bit more of him too here being in Colorado.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
Time will tell. But that's all we've got here for the NHL news as things stand right now. We're gonna jump over into one of our newer segments that we talked about last time on the podcast. Stay tuned. Moving on to our next topic here, we're talking about the PWHL Minnesota team. As we talked about it, we are super excited to, have the PWHL become a thing and also bless us with a hockey team here. Our team's been pretty darn solid. What's their record right now? 4-1-1, I think is what you mentioned.
Yeah. Overall, they're 4-0-1 now, dropping literally just a few minutes ago to 4-1-1, taking their first regulation L at home. Which
is a bummer. But also at the end of the day, you're not expected to win every single game, especially in your inaugural season. But I think that does show 4 games in, 5-6 games into the season that they just went undefeated in the regulation up until tonight, which is pretty crazy. So stoked to see that. Stoked to see that the gals are doing well. We talked initially about the home opener beating records. I wanted to see if that would continue for the attendance for the PWHL and for just the Minnesota team specifically. We looked it up, and right now the PWHL average is about 5,000 per game-ish. Minnesota has a league-high game average of about 8,600, give or take, per game over the first 6 games of the season.
But how many of those are home games for them?
That I don't have off the top of my head. However,
that's cool. I feel like they've only played 3 home games. And I'm certainly not here to hate by any means. Yep. I love that as a thing. But 13,000 opening night. They had about 5,000 tonight, averaging out at 8,000. That makes sense. Yep. So
dropping off a little bit here and there.
So that other crowd must have been closer to 9,000 then, maybe
roughly,
maybe 10. Yeah. But if there was 3 games played or whatever, I thought this was kind of interesting.
What do you got?
I pulled this from some site called Blackout Dallas. I think it's a Dallas Stars fan page, maybe.
Okay, interesting. Well, we'll take that with a grain of salt then.
Yeah, right. But they say here, and I'm taking this from their little article here.
Yep.
Shout out. The PWHL has had over 72,500 attendees across 15 games based on data collected from current game sheets. If grouped, this is almost the equivalent of selling out American Airlines Center 4 times, which has a capacity of roughly 18,500. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's about the same size as our venue here as well.
Yeah, it's
here
15
in
games, but selling it out 4 times for a brand new league.
Yeah.
It's not horrible.
No.
If you really think about it.
It's not great, but it's not bad when you consider like they've pretty much lost about half of their home opener stats as far as like attendance. But it also tonight was a Wednesday night.
True.
Right? You're not Saturday matinee, 2 p.m. for your home opener in the season and series ever in your inaugural season. That's a different beast. So I'm not too upset about that average. I'm sure the weekend games will definitely get more exposure and have a better attendance and turnout. But
No doubt. And I mean, according to this same article, as of January 22nd, which is 2 days ago,
yep.
The general merchandise for the league is sold out across the league.
Wow. That's impressive. That's pretty darn cool. Now, do you think that was just a safe bet by the league, not ordering a bunch of stuff, or do you think that the country and the communities have rallied?
Little of both.
Okay.
I think it's a little of both. But if you think about it, right, if even the lower teams are averaging almost 5,000 a game,
yeah,
that's what AHL is.
Yeah,
that's what the ECHL is. They're averaging anywhere between, I'm sure some are less, like 3,000, right?
Yeah.
They go up, but they go up to like 8, maybe 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing 5,000 so far in the first year of the league. That's probably only going to grow.
That's impressive.
I think it's impressive. It might not seem like a lot to people, but
yeah,
I know there's only 6 teams, but you're drawing people there.
I like to see it. I just Googled it real quick here and a couple of quick little Google searches. Roughly, the Iowa Wild attendance is about 6,000 a game, give or take.
6,000 for
Roughly.
Iowa Wild?
For Iowa Wild. Granted, that was on a very, very quick Google search with a couple of different random things that came up, one of them being Reddit. So take it with a grain of salt.
However, so take it, yeah.
However, it sounds about average. I mean, downtown, heart of Des Moines, right on the river. You got Wells Fargo Arena.
It's only so many people. Yeah. No offense, you Iowans.
It's true.
Is that Iowans?
Iowans, yeah.
Iowans?
Yep, got family out there. So
do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. I still want to make a road trip down there. I want to see an Iowa Wild game really bad this year.
Well, I mean, especially now once we get everybody healthy in the Wild and you send all of our Iowans back to Iowa to play.
I know. Now they can turn their season around. They're a few points out of playoffs right now too. But
that is true. That is true. Talking about some of the PWHL players real fast though. Grace Zumwinkel, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. I apologize if I'm butchering that. Second in goals in the league with 5. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think
3 of those came in the first game ever.
Yeah, and I think the league leader was at at like 6 or 7. I can't remember. So league leader's at 6.
Okay, so only 1 goal away. That's manageable, and you're not chasing that too hard.
And I think it's Zumwinkel. We're gonna have to figure that out. Yeah. But she's also only 2 points behind points leader for the league, who has 8 and she has 6. So
perfect. So she's right there up front.
Yeah, she's right there,
which is awesome. And then you've got a line here in our document here about the goaltending. You want to tell us a little bit about the tendies?
Dude, our tendies in Minnesota are playing very well. I just want to see really quick how many each has played. Looks like Maddie Rooney has played 2 games, I think.
Okay.
2 games for Maddie.
And they played 6 games total.
And so Nicole has played 4 games then.
Yep. If it's 6 total games, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just talk about them really quick. Nicole Hensley, I think I'm saying that right.
Sounds right to me.
Let's see. She right now's got a 1.75 goals against. Solid.
That's great.
And a 939 save percentage.
That's gangster.
And
what about Maddie?
She's got 3 wins.
Okay.
Pretty solid. Maddie, let's go back to Maddie here. Maddie Rooney, our other tendy, 1.45 goals against with a 943 save percentage.
That's impressive.
So
I'm surprised we're not 1 and 2 with those numbers,
dude. So we got a couple good tendies here.
We do.
It sounds like you can send either one out there.
That's awesome.
That's a good problem to have. It sucks maybe for the girls, maybe not, because it's so new and they're just excited. Everybody's just excited to be a part of it right now.
Yep.
But the thing that people like overlook, and obviously I'm not a woman, so I'm not gonna know, right? But like, they're way more competitive than you think.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? They're way more competitive. Like, and I hate that people just automatically dismiss women as not competitive, not physical. Nah, that's a bunch of bull. That's a bunch of bull. Dude.
It is.
So eventually, if you have two good tendies, eventually one of them's going to want to move on so they can be a stud somewhere else, which is fair.
Yeah.
So for now, good problem to have. Something to keep an eye on for the PWHL Minnesota team.
Yeah.
But
inaugural season, there's plenty of room to go.
Dude, there's a lot of good happening. They could win the inaugural championship the way it's going.
Knock on wood.
Do we know how many? I think it's probably 4 teams that make the playoffs, right?
Probably.
6 teams in the league, probably 4, right? You have 2 semifinals, which maybe best of 5. I don't think they play a 7-game series. Maybe 3 for the semis and then 5 for the finals.
Could be.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of and I know way different sport, right? I'm just trying to think of how the WNBA does it. I think they do. Gosh, I want to say they do 5 and then 7 for the finals, but I could be wrong.
Okay. So per Wikipedia anyway, I don't know if I want to listen to them, but
try it out.
Let's see, there's a couple of different options that are on here. But really quickly looking at the Wikipedia answer, it says the season will culminate with a 2-round best of 5 playoff series, including the top 4 teams to determine the season champion.
So we pretty much had it. So sounds like the semifinal round and the final round are both best of 5. Yep. That's awesome, dude.
Well, it sounds like can
you imagine what a playoff game for them will draw here in Minnesota?
I mean,
I'd imagine close to that record.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be really crazy to that. I mean, everyone loves playoff sports in general. I think playoff hockey is awesome. Playoff women's hockey, especially coming up as much as it has been. I think you'll probably get a very, very similar, if not better turnout than the home opener or the inaugural opener.
Did you go to the inaugural opener?
Did.
So what was the atmosphere like?
It was crazy, man. There was let's go Minnesota or Minnesota. That was pretty much how they were chanting.
Because I was going to say, let's go Minnesota. I was like, that's too long.
There was
let's
a
go
lot
PWHL Minnesota. That's too long.
There was a handful of variations throughout that.
Everybody trying to figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, though, because they had the goal song for them was Don't or Can't Stop Me Now, I believe, by Queen.
Oh, dope.
So,
please tell me they lit the lighthouse.
They did.
Did they?
They did.
Yes. Yep. And it was the wild horn?
It was.
Oh, dude, that's lit. That makes me excited.
Yeah, they went out. Awesome. Their intro wasn't as cool with the laser light show and all that jazz, but also
first year, it's fine.
Yep. But also it's like their inaugural season. So like they introduced every single player.
That's fun.
One by one. Yep. They skated out and said, hey,
home opener. Yep.
Repeat. Yeah, rinse and repeat. So that was pretty cool. The environment was cool. So I can only imagine how rocking that place would be during.
Get some towels going for PWHL playoffs. Let's go.
That'd be really cool.
Dude, let's go.
We'll keep you guys posted with how the gals do, and maybe we'll take a Banter with the Boys trip to a PWHL.
Dude, let's go. I'm in.
Playoff game. We'll see how things go.
I'm in.
But with that, we've got one little bit of hockey news we're going to talk about, which is very, very local here to the state of Minnesota. Talking about Hockey Day, Minnesota.
Yeah, so Hockey Day, Minnesota. I can't remember when it was actually created. I wish I should have probably pulled that up before I started this. Yeah, but really, it's an event that is held actually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, with Saturday being the actual Hockey Day, Minnesota. So it starts off right away at 9:30 in the morning. With Warroad playing Lakeville North, the girls' varsity squads facing off. And that is in an outdoor rink in Warroad, Minnesota. So Hockey Day, Minnesota is being held in Warroad, which is a solid 5 hours straight north of where we are located here in the cities.
Hike.
Yeah, it is a hike.
Yep.
And it gets cold. But there is so many NHL players that have came out of Warroad. There's over 80 Division I players that have came out of Warroad, Minnesota, something like that. There has been every medal that the Olympic men's team has won. There has been a player from Warroad, Minnesota on the team.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure if I saw that commercial the other day, right? But no. So yeah, it starts with the varsity girls, Warroad versus Lakeville North. And then you go on at 1 p.m. You got Moorhead facing off against top-ranked Wayzata. I'm sorry, I think they're number 2 in the state. I think the Skippers are still number 1. And then you go ahead and you got another varsity game at 4:30 p.m. Warroad facing off against Roseau. That is just a classic northern Minnesota game right there.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Hunter P. That's a matchup that you're used to seeing in the state tournament. Unless they're from the same section, actually, they might be.
I'm not sure.
Now they think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a classic northern Minnesota matchup for sure.
Nice.
7:30 p.m. This is not televised, but you got the Warroad Bantam A's playing the Moorhead Bantam Double A's. Should be a good matchup there. And then the day concludes. I think PWHL actually also plays that day, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're between 4 and 7 p.m. somewhere in there. I don't know who they play off the top of my head. That's not listed here, which is atrocious. But to cap the day, as always, the Minnesota Wild will be playing. They play the Ducks at about 8 p.m. So,
which is pretty sweet. When I first moved to Minnesota and started following hockey, I found out that like Hockey Day Minnesota was a thing. I was dumb, and I'm like, dude, how cool would it be to watch like the Wild play like outside in like Warroad or Duluth or wherever they're playing it? So I'm like, heck yeah, we're gonna go. And then of course I didn't actually go, but I did some research, and I'm like, oh, that's not how it works. Yep. Yeah, but like the outdoor
they
games
have once or no, twice they've played outside
Stadium Series
here.
and then what's it called?
Winter Classic. Finally,
there you go, Winter Classic. Yep.
Yeah, 2 games which I wanted to go to and did not attend.
I went to the Winter Classic last year, a couple years ago.
Did you?
It was crazy.
That's cool. I went to when they had the Stadium Series here. It was at TCF Bank at the Gophers, where the Minnesota Gophers play football.
Yeah.
And the Gophers men's hockey team played against Ohio State like 2 days before that or whatever, before the Stadium Series game. So I went to that.
Nice.
That was lit. Stupid cold.
Oh yeah.
There,
Yep.
But there was still like almost 20,000 there. It was crazy. It was fun.
Hockey's crazy out here, man. Yeah, and I went to the Winter Classic. Same thing. It was like 0 degrees, -20 wind chill when the game started.
Ton of people.
Yeah. And then it was like -10, -35 with the wind chill when the game was over.
Didn't we?
We did lose that game, which stunk. But
Darn
at the end of the day, it was awesome. So I did check here. It looks like the Minnesota PWHL team plays at Boston at 4 p.m. Eastern time, to be 3 p.m. Central time here for us Minnesotan folks. So,
on Saturday?
On Saturday the 27th.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that'd be pretty cool to really bring Hockey Day Minnesota all together. Obviously, a little bit of a different beast there, but still be really, really cool to see the gals play too. But yeah, man, fun fact, Hockey Day Minnesota next year, you know what it's going to be?
Let me think. Next year. Is it in the cities?
It is. No, not necessarily in the cities.
Burbs?
Yeah. Burbs.
Okay, it's in the burbs.
Yep.
It's not going to be in Shakopee, is
it?
It is. Is it really?
It's going to be at Valley Fair.
What?
Yeah. I'm very, very interested to see how they're going to do this.
We should go.
I'm going
We'll go.
100,000%. 100,000%
we should go
for sure.
Because I wanted to go to the one that was in Stillwater because it was so close to the water and it looked cool with the lift bridge and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then they had one in Duluth right next to that lift bridge. I was like, darn it. I didn't go to that one.
Yeah.
Valley Fair, that's so random.
Look how I can only imagine like how cool the pictures are going to be. I'm a photographer for you guys who don't know how cool the pictures are going to be. Imagine the kids like breath coming out of their mouth, like in the fog that comes out of your mouth and you're breathing in super cold air with like your hockey stick and your face mask on and everything. Your helmet's all decked out. And then he's got like roller coasters in the background. Like,
they're not going to be running.
No, but like how crazy
they should run
have?
one though.
Oh,
why not in the background?
They might just for fun, but I think that the picture's still going to be super cool. Have like the tracks and stuff running behind.
Yeah,
like the power tower.
Because the only place I can think they would put it is in that parking lot.
The parking lot, I guarantee.
Right. So if they put it in the parking lot, you have is Steel Venom still there?
Yeah.
So you got Steel Venom, the wild thing right there. You got Power Tower there.
Yeah.
Dude, that might be cool. I didn't know that it was at Valley Fair.
Yep, I believe it's at Valley Fair. I apologize if I'm wrong.
I had a gut feeling about Shakopee, but Valley Fair, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, it'd be crazy if it was there, but they don't have the seating for it. They only have the seating in like that one corner section. So with it being at Valley Fair, they should be able to either use something that's already pre-existing or just build an entire stadium.
They'll just build it out.
Which would be crazy.
I would imagine.
So it'll be cool though, man. So here's hoping for Hockey Day Minnesota 2025 here in the homeland of Shakopee. If you guys didn't know, that's where I live. So with that, man, this has been an awesome episode. You got anything else to take us out with?
No, man, not at all. It's just been a pleasure as always. I'm glad to talk some puck. Luckily we got on some topics here, so I didn't have to bring in a new segment. Well, maybe we'll save that for later. But what?
No, so it'd be awesome to bring it back in. I like how we're expanding to some other hockey stuff in Minnesota. We got some time to kick things off. Maybe over the NHL All-Star break, we'll bring in some other things as the boys are taking a chill. But with that said, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Thank you for listening. As always, like, comment, subscribe. And with that, we'll catch you in the next one.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the Boys.